According to the fandom wiki page, George Lucas is quoted as saying, "I racked my brain to figure out who do I trust and who do I know really well and is level-headed. Who understands the business side of it, but also understands the creative side of it. And finally, I banged into it, and I said, oh my god, it's Kathy." Oh, George. Kathleen Kennedy has a long and decorated history in the business, and is even a co-founder of Amblin Entertainment, along with the very well-known Steven Spielberg. So on paper, her knowledge combined with the backing of Disney should have led to a Star Wars renaissance, and if she failed, well, Disney were not a company that knew how to fail. Yes, they had their fair share of straight-to-DVD movies, but their AAA movies made absolute bank. Though now we look at their 2012 catalogue, outside of Marvel, the main Disney offering definitely seemed to be weaker than the movies that were made in the 90s when I was a kid. And 2016 sees the first of the live-action adaptations arrive in the form of The Jungle Book. Ironically, this was probably the best one they made by a mile. My point is that if Kennedy messed up, no one was in any doubt that she would be fired. Moreover, J.J. Abrams, yet to be confirmed useless, being announced as the director for the first movie wasn't all bad. Yes, the second Star Trek movie wasn't great, but the first one was brilliant. All is still well, and as The Force Awakens rolls out in 2015, we're all willing to give Lucasfilm the benefit of the doubt. It's not great, but maybe there's an interesting foundation here. Moreover, I think the release of Rogue One seems to reinforce the fact that the new era of Star Wars is okay. Things can only get better, right? In 2017, I sat in my cinema seat, and for the first time in living memory, I turned to my friend and asked, what the fuck is going on? The Last Jedi is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. From bombs dropping from a ship in space where there's no gravity, which is the opening scene by the way, to the Mary Poppins Princess Leia, to the pointless Casino World segment and the ridiculous chase sequence that makes no sense. I'm not going to pull it apart scene by scene, there's a million YouTube videos that have already done that. Suffice to say, it's a god-awful film, and reveals Luke, the chosen one, contemplated killing his nephew for a bad dream. Then he ran away, only to come back as a force projection and fade away to nothing. A personal highlight was the purple-haired boss lady, and how purely stupid her character is, and how terrible this whole arc was. Just wow. Girl bosses rule. This movie broke Star Wars' back, and the franchise began its slow death spiral.
Ah, yes! I was wondering what would break first. Your spirit? Oh, your body!
It was so bad, I vowed never to go see another Rey-based film, a vow I'm very glad to have upheld. No Rise of Skywalker BS in my brain. No thank you. And so we spiraled ever downwards. And for your entertainment, here's every theatrical release with estimated production costs and film revenue, all adjusted for inflation as of 2023. Obviously, there are some assumptions made here. Firstly, I've assumed a 40% stake by the cinemas, and I've heavily relied on the website The Numbers to get the data. I then googled for a site to calculate inflation, and here's what I ended up with. Enjoy! You know, I am surprised in what this shows. Firstly, it shows very clearly that no movie has ever come close to the success of the first film, both from a profit and tickets sold perspective. Secondly, it shows that Star Wars has technically always been on a downward trend, and even George Lucas's sequels and prequels, no surprise really, didn't buck the trend. Obviously, the blame here lies 100% with the Ewoks in Episode 6, Jar Jar Binks, and Hayden Christensen's Anakin just being a bit of a bitch. I suppose on reflection, however, this is something we all knew. Lucas was struggling to replicate the magic of the original trilogy, so selling to Disney and the resultant spike for The Force Awakens highlights the optimism and excitement we all had going in. Tragically, Episode 7 far outsold Episode 5 in terms of tickets and tips it in terms of profits too. Man, I love Empire. As we all know, it's all downhill from here. Perhaps the fact that Lucas's digital remasters were shockingly bad, coupled with the poor performance of his prequels, should have raised more questions around his judgment, especially when it came to the question of who should take the reins at Lucasfilm when he left. If they had petitioned outside of the organisation, how many sins could have been prevented? But as they say, hindsight is 20/20, and we cannot undo what has been done.
It is your destiny.
You can disagree with my opinions, but as a great mathematician once said, the numbers don't lie. The trend is inarguably downward. We continue our story with Disney Star Wars reeling from Solo, the first loss in franchise history, declining interest in Rise of Skywalker, leading to the lowest profit from any of the main episodic films, and of course, the fandom menace. Cue Disney Plus to the rescue. Enter The Mandalorian. And pardon the pun, A New Hope. What a nice reprieve. We got 2 seasons that felt like Star Wars. The last heartbeats as the precious lifeblood of the fandom was sprayed like an arterial wound all over the fucking walls. What's the old adage? When a guy's down, just keep kicking him. Yeah, that's it, right? My god, Book of Boba Fett. This is a character that had literally his own cult following. Umpteen books, comics, art. People loved this guy. He was a badass, measured, mysterious, and dangerous. And all of this from 6.5 minutes of airtime and literally 4 lines. Just think about how bad the situation is in entertainment today. We have characters that have entire series, hours of airtime, and they never get close to a character as well liked as Boba Fett. As well liked as he was. Reva hijacks half of the Obi-Wan series and manages to get, 1,413 backers, according to the failed lightsaber launch? Face it, for anyone over the age of 10, when it comes to The Mandalorian,
This party's over.
I can't even talk about Obi-Wan. My god, Ewan McGregor. What the fuck, man? Alec Guinness must be spinning in his grave. The final nail to hammer home is the destruction of the Star Wars merchandise sales. Just do a Google search about the lack of interest in merchandise from Disney Star Wars. There's tons of articles that seem to confirm that no one's buying Rey toys. Look again at the Reva lightsaber funding page. Even Baby Yoda can't save this. All the while, the original movie toys continue to sell. Moreover, Disney, in their infinite stupidity, cut away the extended universe and all of the fanfiction, follow-on stories, and comics, attempting to replace them with their own brand of filth. Surprisingly, it's not selling well either. In short, the Disney Star Wars movies have got progressively worse, Disney has ruined the legacy characters, the Disney Plus shows have now also capitulated, and all the while, outside of baby frickin' Yoda, none of the new universe sells anywhere near as well as Luke Skywalker and the gang. In fact, things are now so bad even when Disney produces reasonably good Star Wars, such as Andor, no one's interested in watching it. So having painted the room red and bled to death from an arterial bleed, the corpse of Star Wars lies broken and lifeless.
Best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on, truly. You know what I mean? That you can look at any angle and see yourself relayed through all the characters. There is no good or evil. Depends on what side you're standing on.
But Disney can't bury the old guy. Instead, they summon Ursula's Sea Witch and perform a voodoo blood ritual. Filled with necrotic power, the corpse rises again, moaning as it lurches from failure to failure, the blank, bloodshot eyes longing for death.
So my character, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be that, because I feel like Star Wars is very patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have this sort of woman-centered figure.
A death that will never come, and like a revenant spirit, Star Wars is destined to continue to destroy its own legacy.
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable.
Consuming itself until every trace of the corpse is gone, or the colossal chaos engine that is Disney finally comes crashing down like the house of cards it so clearly is. Han, Luke and Leia will always be a legendary trio and something far beyond the understanding and writing ability of modern day filmmakers. Han, the masculine rogue, living by his own rules and surviving by his mix of daring and intelligence. Luke, the young man coming of age into a bigger world, naive but courageous and brave. Leia, the born leader, decisive and confident, yet still feminine and beautiful. These characters resonate with strengths and flaws that we can all aspire to and associate with. Only when the three of them come together do they each push the other to grow and fulfill their full potential. Such that by the end of the trilogy they have all grown and developed. Luke is a Jedi and having learned some very painful lessons has finally become a man. Han has learnt the value of love and trust, accepting his place as a leader. In many ways this for me is the acceptance of your own power and potential, and instead of hiding from it, embracing it. You could argue in some ways that Leia has changed the least, as she was the catalyst for the other two characters to be able to hit their potential. She is the glue that held the group together and drove them forwards. However, I think that she has learned humility and allowed herself to be vulnerable. Realising that she can rely on Han and Luke, equally she realises the value of living for more than just the mission and her duty. But that's just my take on what I think and feel about these characters when I think back to those movies. Feel free to leave a comment with your own take on them and why. I'm always interested in the thoughts and theories of other fans. We can always go back to those original films and enjoy them. The original cut, obviously. George's edits in the digital remasters were frankly embarrassing. For good measure, I'd buy the unaltered versions on Blu-ray and keep it for posterity, just in case they decide to change that in the future. Though then you're giving money to Disney, so maybe find a second-hand version or some other means to watch them, I don't know. Anyway, remember the first three great movies that transported us to a galaxy far, far away. And revel in the fact that no matter what Kathleen Kennedy and Disney do, they can't take those memories away. They can't stop you watching your own hard copy media, and they will never be able to create anything that rivals those original movies. Forget everything else, let the corpse rest. Star Wars is dead. R.I.P. 2015. May the Force be with you.